The journey to save Bruno. The thick mist covered the dense forest, with faint rays of sunlight piercing through the leaves, casting dim streaks of light onto the damp ground. David walked slowly, his eyes scanning the surroundings. His brown jacket was dusted with dirt, and his boots were caked with mud after hours of wandering through the narrow trails. He was used to the silence of the deep woods, but today, the quiet felt eerily unsettling. A small footprint was imprinted on the soft earth. David stopped, crouching down to examine it. The tracks stretched on, winding in different directions, as if the creature had wandered in despair. He held his breath, listening closely. A faint sound echoed from afar. His instincts told him that someone, or some small, lost soul, was waiting to be rescued. David froze, his gaze locking onto the direction of the noise. A weak whimper, barely audible, a plea for help breaking through the silent wilderness. He quickly moved forward, his steps crunching against the dry leaves, making soft but distinct sounds. As he got closer, he saw it. Amidst the thick underbrush, a tiny, fragile creature lay curled up, its thin body trembling. Its fur was matted with mud, ribs visibly protruding, and its eyes sunken from hunger. It was a dog, Bruno. Far away, Bruno lay motionless under a large tree, his sorrowful eyes staring blankly into the distance. Dry leaves drifted down around him, the sky dark and cold. He had been here for days, waiting for someone, but no one ever came to take him home. Each passing day drained him even more, his body growing weaker. Thinner, hunger, cold, fear. He wandered slowly down an empty road, his steps faltering from exhaustion. Lowering his head, he sniffed at the scattered scraps along the roadside, desperately searching for food, but all he found were meaningless remnants. His hope never faded, not entirely. The sky darkened, and soon, the rain began to fall. Cold droplets struck his frail body. Bruno curled up tighter, his drenched fur clinging to his thin frame as he shivered violently. He looked up at the sky, raindrops mixing with the sadness in his eyes. Would anyone come to save him? In the distance, beyond the trees, a figure emerged. David approached slowly, his gaze filled with concern. He halted as his eyes locked onto the fragile figure curled up beneath the tree. The sight before him made his heart ache. David knelt down, extending a gentle hand, but Bruno flinched, retreating in fear. His ears flattened, and his eyes widened in alarm. He didn't know if he could trust humans again. A surge of fear overwhelmed him, so scared, so afraid of being abandoned once more. Time seemed to stand still. The world around them faded away, leaving only two souls, one patiently waiting, the other carrying unseen wounds. Bruno stood frozen, staring at the outstretched hand. Slowly, cautiously, he inched forward, hesitantly sniffing David's fingers. For the first time in days, he felt the warmth of another being. "It's okay, let's go home. Come on." David carefully wrapped a warm blanket around Bruno's frail body. Lifting him up, he walked slowly toward the car. Bruno no longer resisted, he was too weak. But in his tired eyes, there was no longer the terror that had once been there. At the rescue shelter, warm water washed away the dirt and pain. David gently lathered soap into Bruno's fur, carefully tending to his small wounds. Bruno stood still, slightly wary, but for the first time in so long, he felt truly cared for. He was starving. A full bowl of food was placed in front of him. He hesitated only a moment before devouring it, eating hastily as if afraid it would disappear. After so many days of hunger, he finally had a meal that was his to keep. At first, Bruno still kept his distance from people, but as the days passed, he began to trust again. One beautiful morning, David approached, kneeling beside him. "Bruno," he called softly. Bruno lifted his head, and for the first time, his tiny tail wagged, just a little. A small moment, but for David, it was a sign of hope. "We're friends now, aren't we?" he thought. As time went on, Bruno grew stronger. One bright morning, he ran freely across the lush green grass, playing joyfully with the other dogs. He was no longer the starving, terrified dog he once was. He was happy. Then, a special day arrived. A family visited the shelter. The mother knelt down, stroking Bruno's head gently. A young boy beamed with excitement, wrapping his arms around the little dog. Bruno looked up at them, not with fear, but with hope and trust. The car door opened. Bruno looked back at David one last time, as if saying goodbye. "Come on, Bruno. Your home is waiting." With a joyful leap, Bruno hopped into the car. His tail wagging non-stop. David stood by, smiling as he watched him go. Bruno had finally found his forever home. Bruno's journey, from a lost, abandoned soul to a beloved family member, had reached a beautiful conclusion. But out there, many other dogs like Bruno are still waiting for their own miracle. If you can, take action.